So we're going to try. Well, we're trying to talk to you about some of the prospects that may be up for this draft. And as of course, as you've probably heard the story of the day, the draft's going to take place as
Yeah.
normal on schedule. We're going to talk to you a little bit, first of all, about some of the guys that the Bills have signed here of late. Cornerback E.J. Gaines and offensive lineman Darrell Williams. Any thoughts about those veteran guys that you've seen and can remember from your tape study?
Well, I know that Gaines has he's been there before, correct? I mean, he's been a
Yep.
Bill before.
Yeah, this is his third time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting guy because if I recall, he came out of Missouri. I remember watching him. He was a late round pick. He's got he's a smaller corner. I don't know what they see him as. Other than maybe a compete guy and a depth guy. I think Williams is the more interesting guy because Williams has a lot of starting experience in the NFL. And again, do they see him inside? Do you think? I know this just happened, and I know with the situation as it is, it's not as if you're around the building and everybody's around the building. But here's a guy who's played right tackle. I think a few years ago he was a full-time starter at right tackle. He's played left tackle. He's played both guard positions. So essentially, he can line up in pretty much any tackle position or guard position. He's played every offensive line position other than center. So I don't know if they see him as a sort of a rotational journeyman guy, or if they see him as competing for a starting job.
We don't know that either, Greg. As you said, we don't get a lot of contact with decision makers these days. But the one thing that's notable to Steve and I, this is more of a contract question, but it appears clear that the Bills, they've got this Carolina Panthers pipeline going on. I think it makes sense that in these kind of uncertain times, they would sign, I'm talking about Bean and McDermott, would sign players that they have a history with, that they're familiar with, right?
Yeah, and the other factor to keep in mind is, obviously he's an offensive player, and Brian Daboll is still the OC, and he wasn't in Carolina. But these are players that they are familiar with, so they obviously feel that they can help. I'm just really curious with Williams because I think he's struggled a lot at tackle, and I think he's better at guard. That's just my opinion from watching tape. I would think they view themselves set at tackle. They see Cody Ford, I would assume, as their right tackle, do they not?
Well, I think that's a question. Yeah, that's a question. And we don't know that until training camp starts. But I also think part of Darrell Williams' his appeal is the fact of his versatility. So even if he doesn't compete and work his way into the starting spot, he's certainly a guy you got to have on the bench on game day.
Without question. I mean, he's started over 40 games in the NFL, Steve. I mean, you're talking about a guy, that you can line up and play with Darrell Williams. Obviously he's not a big time offensive lineman. He's not an all-pro type player, but you can line up and play with Darrell Williams. That's a good signing.
We're live with Greg Cosell, NFL analyst for NFL Matchup on ESPN, senior producer at NFL Films. A couple of other signings, and guys coming back, Greg. Isaiah McKenzie, short, smallish, wide receiver. The Bills found a role for him running jet sweep action. What do you think of Isaiah McKenzie and how he might fit into this group of wide receivers here?
Well, he's a package player now because obviously with the signing of Diggs, McKenzie becomes a package player, and that's fine. You'll have certain packages where he's on the field, certain plays that are geared to him, but he's a package player on offense. So that's obviously they brought him back for that reason because he's not going to be, barring injury, among the top three receivers.